Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're taking a look at Challenge 4. Now, just as a reminder, Challenge 4 is on the programming part of MrBuka.net. You can find it right there. So, the basic challenge is to get a ball that opens up in a 500 by 500 window automatically. And it says right here we can see Challenge 3 for how to do that. And we're going to use the code in Chapter 6, specifically 6.3, to start off with. And then we're going to edit that code so that the balloon changes the color when the Y position goes past 250. So we're going to start it off red, and then once it hits 250, we're going to bring it to green. All right? So I guess the question is how to do that. So let's go ahead and take a look at the turtle tome, because if that's going to be the starting code we're going to use in Chapter 6. Now, we should have read this previously. You should always read the chapters and not just try to work with the code. It's pretty obvious. Usually that student who does that has a hard time finishing through. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to go into my Eclipse. I'm going to call my class, actually I'm going to call it practice. So you should follow the instructions for yours and call it Chapter 6A the way you're supposed to. So capital P-R-A-C-T-I-C-E, and then there. So again, you shouldn't call that there. You should follow the directions and actually name it Chapter 6A as it's written right here. So I'm going to go ahead, like always, I'm going to highlight the class header and its opening and closing brace. I'm going to paste over it. I'm going to have lots of errors. That's because I have to get rid of these numbers. Okay, so now I have my package statement. Then I have my import statements. So that's something we need to know, that package comes before the imports, and the imports come before the class header. Now I have an error here, and we should know at this point in Challenge 4 that it's because the class name is incorrect. I named this class practice. I need to go ahead and make sure that reflects that in the class header. As always, I like to put my braces on their separate lines. It helps break up the braces so I can count them more easily, my opening braces. So I'm just going to do that real quick. So then this one closes the while statement. This one closes the run statement. Part of why I can tell that is because this is indented just as much as this is. And it's highlighted too, if you've noticed that. So if I click on this one here, this one over here should be highlighted up top here. So you can count more easily. There's a little square there. Which one is that brace? So now, as I run this code straight from copying and pasting, it kind of does some of the work for me. It does have a ball. It is red, and it does move. So I just need to now get the window to open up to 500 by 500. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to checklist that. Okay, so it says 500 by 500, go to Chapter 3. So if I go to Chapter 3, Challenge 3 I should say, it says right here, in order to do this code right here, it'll open up the screen in 500 by 500. It said make this the first line of your run method. So I'm going to go back to my run method, and the very first line is going to be that. So now I'm going to see if this actually works. Does it open up that window into a 500 by 500 window? Okay, sure enough it does. So what I would do at this point is I would just sort of get a checklist of things. Maybe I make a copy of this, and then I checklist off each item that I get through. All right, so now I know I need to make it using a while. After it gets by 250, I need to make it green. So here comes the challenge, and that's knowing how to tell how to make things green or red or whatever. So I know that my ball, by looking at the code, I know that my ball, which is actually named ball, is a G-oval object. So what I need to do is, how in the world do I find out where my ball is? Because if it's based off of the Y coordinates, and it would make sense that while the ball is less than 250, it's red. So I need to say that here. So how do I say while the ball's Y position is less than 250? And this is where I need to use the API. So I go to G-oval, and I need to find out, how do I find out what the Y position is? Now if I look through here, I will eventually find one of the methods that read get y, returns the y coordinate of the object, and it returns a double number. So I can now take that information and I can say while the object ball and its y position is less than 250, okay, now the ball's already red, so I don't think I need to tell it to be red because it's already red because of this up here, the set fill color. But what I do want to do is just to see if it's listening to me, I'm going to do a system.out.println. And I'm going to put a message here that makes sense to me. Oh, and I need to type it correctly. I forgot to put it in quotations here. All right, and then I need to end that statement with a semicolon. All right, so I don't see any errors. And now what I'm thinking, if I'm correct here, this ball or this code, the ball will move, but it will print this out as long as it's less than 250. So let me see this, if this is going to work. So opens at 250. I see this line down here, the system.out.print lines. It's not printing anymore. As a matter of fact, the ball stops right here at 250, or while it's less than 250. So, and that makes sense to me because I'm only telling the ball to move now, right here, while it's less than 250. So what I'm going to do is after that while statement, I'm going to say, well, actually I want another line here, another space, while the ball dot get y is greater than, I'm just going to say 249. The reason why I say 249 is because I don't want it to be, if it shows just at 250, you can be less than 250 and still not greater than. So this gives me a little bit of leeway. So now I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm going to do system.out.println. As a matter of fact, I'm going to copy all this code right here. And I'm going to, instead of less than, I'm going to say more than 250. All right? So think of it this way. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get the code to print out this if it's less than 250, and then this if it's greater than 250. So it's like being a different color. I want you to be red if this is true, or while this is true. I want you to be green while that's true. So I'm going to watch this, and that it's system.out.println less than, less than, less than, and now it's saying more than, and it's still moving. So I'm going to close this. The reason why it's still moving is because I tell it to, and it's more than 250. So now at this point, all you need to do is you need to set the fill color. So I'm going to take this fill color line right here, because I know by now, I'm familiar with this code. I know by now, all I need to do is come here. And since I know this is an RGB, R, red being 0, G, green being 255, and I'm going to leave blue alone. So now I'm hoping this will change colors for me. There you go. So it does turn. So the idea here, ladies and gentlemen, is you should have broken this up into statements that made sense for you. If you wanted to be successful with this, I would have commented a line and said, well, while the Y position is less than 250, you know, do this stuff, you know, and I would have been a little bit descriptive in here. So once I break it into little chunks of, okay, while this is happening, while that's happening, it makes it easier for me to focus on this code and actually execute it. So hopefully you have a better understanding of how to do a while and how to really kind of break up that code. Good luck on your next challenge.